Hi everybody, it's Mariah. I hope you all are doing very well. I certainly am. Um, I'm staying safe. I'm only shopping online when I can. When I absolutely have to go out, I wear a mask and practice social distancing, and I hope you guys do as well. Um, anyway, now we're past the introduction. I've decided that this video is going to be the first in that trans educational series I've been talking about making. Um, I will definitely be talking about a few different trans subjects in each of these videos. I don't know how long this series will be. It might just go on and on. And then again, like I told you, my channel is not going to be only about this. But any videos about transgender will go in my transgender life playlist. Um, anyway, to launch right into the subject of this video, I'm going to read a very vague but still accurate definition on Google for transgender. Transgender, adjective, denoting or relating to a person whose sense of personal identity and gender does not correspond with their birth sex. In other words, I was born with a penis and a flat chest. Most people, you know, would automatically associate that with male. And on top of that, I do grow a beard that I personally don't like very much. It's really itchy. Um, but that further tells people, society further tells people, hey, look, that's a beard. This is a male. First of all, not taking into account things like PCOS, which is a subject for another day. But my body might be male, but my brain is literally a female's brain, not an effeminate male brain. If my brain were an effeminate male brain, that might be slightly different. My brain is literally wired as female, and my body and my brain do not agree with one another. Hence the dysphoria. And it's the same way for trans men. Two of my partners are trans men. Okay, they were born with breasts and vaginas, but their brain is wired as male. And it's really not just that. It's not only that simple. There's a deeper science to what we're talking about, but that will probably be in a whole nother video. Because I really don't know how to launch into that myself. Anyway, to look at my phone again here. Well, no, I can just look at my paper. Now that I've given you a very vague definition of transgender, I'm going to go down and read just one paragraph of an article that came up when I looked it up as well. Transgender people have a gender identity or gender expression that differs from their sex assigned at birth. Like I just said, some transgender people who desire medical assistance to transition from one sex to another identify as transsexual. Note the word some. Not all of us do, but those who do, it's worthy of respect. Okay, and common decency, even if you're one of those dumbasses who doesn't, quote, agree. We'll get back into that agree thing later and why I put quotations around it. Might even be in another video. But transgender, often shortened as trans, is also an umbrella term. Now, that being said, what that means is that transgender covers kind of a variety of actual other meanings. Non-binary people, for example, and gender nonconformity and gender fluidity, which, by the way, I'm not yet going to talk much about gender nonconformity and fluidity and non-binary just yet, because I don't know enough about those subjects to launch into them and try and educate people on it, because I might accidentally enforce a stereotype or two, you know. So what I am going to try and do is get a friend of mine, whoever that may be, who is gender nonconforming or gender fluid or non-binary, and bring them on this channel as a guest and have them help me educate you on it, educate you and me. For now, for this moment, I'm going to stick to transgender specifically. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about the transmasculine world, although 2 of my partners are trans men. But what I do know, I am willing to share. And there are some things I might not even say until I get the thumbs up from said partners or other trans men. But let's see, what's next? The next thing I would like to launch into is stereotypes. Excuse me, I have to stretch. Stereotypes for trans people, in general, most of them are not very nice. There are a few, I don't want to say innocent, there are a few not that hurtful stereotypes, but they're still stereotypes, and we shouldn't do that. But we, as humans, as a society, tend to anyway. But the difference, it makes all the difference in the world if you stereotype somebody and they say, hey, no, that's not true. Respect that. Okay, that's all the difference in the world right there. We're all going to stereotype at some point or another. But when we're told, hey, that's not true, I'm such and such, and I don't ever such and so. Respect that. Okay, anyway, there are many hurtful stereotypes for trans men and trans women. One hurtful stereotype for trans men is that when they go on testosterone, they become this hyper aggressive, not who they once were, angered at everything, abusive person. And that's not necessarily true. Maybe, now I don't know if this is true. I'll ask my partner, and you know, one of them will correct me if I'm incorrect here, but maybe 1 in 100,000 will actually get that way. What the testosterone will do, I know it'll give you mood swings. I know that much. That's the same with the hormone blockers and the hormone replacement therapy for trans women. You know, they'll give you mood swings. But it will almost never be to that extent. That's all I can say about that, because that's all I know on that particular stereotype. Okay, but like I said, the similar stereotypes go toward trans women, and that once you go on hormone replacement therapy, you're just going to be all this, you know, hypersensitive, hyper angry, and you might get hypersensitive. That one is actually true for some of us. I don't know how it's going to be for me because I haven't started that yet. I've been wanting to get my teeth fixed, and I have. Pretty soon, somewhere within the next year, I'll probably start my hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. Get more estrogen in my body. I'm trying to think of a few more stereotypes. Trans women are stereotyped basically as drag queens, but also all sex workers. Some people think that trans women are nothing but men in drag doing sex work. One, not all of us do sex work. Two, those of us who do, I support you. But, not all of us are hypersexual, even. I, for one, am not in a consistent sexual mood. I will joke all the time about being a slut. But when it boils down, one of those stereotypes basically tries to fetishize us, trans men and trans women, as these bedroom roles, I had one person tell my partner one day, like this guy kept calling him a she and calling me a he, and saying things like, you can't just identify as female, and to him, you can't just identify as male. Everybody is both. Everybody is. And I kind of get that maybe everybody has a little bit of masculinity and femininity in them. I might be wrong about that, but I can kind of understand where that guy was coming from. But, yes, I can just identify as a female. That's all it takes for me to be valid. I don't care that you are gender nonconforming. That's great. I mean, I love you for it. And I'm so glad that you can express it the way you do. It doesn't affect who you are as a person at all, just like being trans does not. But you don't have to assume that everyone is or should be that exact way. That's what pissed me off. But going back to the bedroom role thing is why I brought this up. Leo kept saying, look, I'm not a she, I'm a he. And I kept going, look, I'm not a he, I'm a she. And he kept looking at us both and going, he, she. And finally, Leo kind of snapped. And he was like, you need to stop that. That's blatantly disrespecting our identities. And he looked right at him and went, oh, don't get me wrong. I love the role of the dyke in the bedroom. It's great. It's sexy. It's wonderful. And Leo said, this is not some role for between the sheets. He said, I live my life this way. This is not just for the bedroom. He said, I'm a male and Mariah's a female. And I was like, thank you. And where we were living at the time was with a friend. But that friend booted this guy out. I mean, well, he didn't literally kick his ass, but he was like, get out. He was like, if you want to disrespect my friend's identities blatantly like that, get out. And I was like, oh, Jesus. But, yeah, as far as stereotypes, there are many. you know, and that's one of them. That our identities are just for the bedroom or whatnot. Um, and other stereotypes like when I go somewhere and I'm dressed very effeminate. Generally, most places I ever do go right now have some connection to who I am, so they respect me. But every now and then, I'll get this idiot that's like, it's like, and I'm like, what? What? What is it? Am I missing a joke? Oh no, I mean, you just look funny. You look funny today. And I'm like, I look funny? And they'll be like, yeah, I mean, you're having a dress and lipstick. You look funny. And I'm like, I'm not dressing to look funny. Oh, okay, geez, man, you don't have to be so sensitive about it. I'm not the one who's being sensitive here. And what's wrong with being sensitive? People apparently don't realize what the word means, especially when they get all mad when you call them that. But no, back on the subject here. I've had that so many times, and my partners have had that too. The ones who are trans, by the way, I've had that too. Um, Leo even had someone when we were homeless. Someone who said, "Let me take a look at your fingers." Let you take a look at his fingers, and that determines whether he's male or female. What? These stereotypes and these judgments just blow my mind. Um, but yeah, that's another stereotype. And if I don't cover all the stereotypes here, boy, I will be covering them in future videos. Because stereotypes are one of the biggest things that piss us off. And I don't just mean trans people either. I mean people in general, groups of people who are frowned down upon. Stereotypes are one thing that keep people on the level of, you know, judgmentality, if that's a word. But no, too many stereotypes are even endorsed in our society, um, that and they're done in such a way that they're ingrained in our heads. Movies and shows, particularly cop shows, for instance, have been depicting trans women specifically, and a few times trans men, terribly for years and years. We've become, Hollywood has portrayed us as a laughing stock. Um, you know, Trans women, or women who turn out to be men, according to a lot of these films I'm talking about, are these criminals, sex criminals, killers, people who kidnap children and rape women. Um, we're not like that. 9 out of 10 of us are not like that. Um, there's there are so many shows portraying us as these sex criminals or criminals in general, and it's very, very, very degrading. It's hurtful. It makes us angry and sad at the same time, because people don't even get to know trans people. And the porn industry is very disrespectful to us. The word she-male, should really not be used for a trans woman. unless you specifically are a trans woman who is into being called a she-male during sex. You know, if you have a degradation kink, that's fine, but don't use it for all of us. Like, you know, my degradation kink only goes so far. You know, and sometimes I will allow the word tranny or she-male toward me during sex only. And that is also sometimes. Generally, though, it is very, very degrading, especially if you use it in everyday conversation. But now that we've covered a few stereotypes done toward trans people, there are a lot more. But now that we've covered a few, I'm making checks on a list, by the way, of things I've already talked about in this video. But anyway, now I want to talk about medical discrimination toward trans people. There's not a whole lot I can think of to say on this subject, but the only thing I know about our medical discrimination, well, is really all that I need to tell you right now, I think. It's that in a lot of places right now, it's legal to refuse somebody medical treatment because they're gay, bisexual, transgender, gender nonconform. We're all under the same umbrella, according to some people, but it's okay to refuse us medical treatment in a lot of places because of that. Whew. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But I, for one, think that is very messed up because most transphobic people are religious. There are a few who are not religious but still transphobic. But that's also a story for a different day. You've got all these doctors and all these nurses and all these surgeons who think it's okay to refuse a trans person medical treatment because of their religion. It's sick, it's disgusting, and it's frankly very, very degrading. Sorry. But I would also, now that we've talked about that, like I said, there's not really much to say on that subject. And if you can think of more to say on that, please leave a comment down below, or if you know me, you know my number. If you know my social media information, comment down below if you like. But now that we've covered that, I would like to talk about blatant disrespect and microaggressions. Geez. I talked a little about disrespect when I talked about the stereotypes, but there's more to say. There's a whole lot more to say about blatant disrespect, even versus microaggression. There's a lot of things in between, too. Like, say, for instance, when there's somebody that talks to and about me all the time and knows my preferred pronouns and knows my preferred name, a slip up is understandable. First off, if you haven't known me that long, or you don't talk to or about me that often, Or even if just one day you accidentally slip up and call me he. It's fine. Like, I'm not going to bite you for that. Partner Leo's the same way. He's fine with it. He's not going to bite you if you accidentally call him she once or twice, but sure, he'll get sad because dysphoria really affects you. And if you are not trans, you will never fully understand why our gender dysphoria takes our depression so far when we're even accidentally misgendered. One little slip of the lip can really ruin your day. But we're not usually gonna fight you for it. Because maybe 8 out of 10 times you didn't mean any harm. And we realize this. So if we get sad about it, please don't act like we smacked your dog in the head and burned half your family tree. Please. Because we're not. Anyway, forms of disrespect are things like that. Intentionally misgendering someone after, a long time of knowing what they prefer and purposely denying them the respect of calling them a simple pronoun. Also giving us the I'm not telling you you're going to hell, but you're going to hell speeches. It's just like, do you have an ounce of human emotion in your heart or in your head even? Like, it's so frustrating when you give us those talks that we've heard so many times before, and that no matter how many times we try to tell you that we can't help who we are, this is not a choice. This is not a sin because it's not a choice. You just won't listen. Religion, or let me rephrase, organized religion has gone so far in bringing people down. It's not even funny. Trans people have been so affected by this. We have been shamed. We have been degraded. We have been shunned and killed by religion, organized religion. And so giving us those talks like, God wouldn't like that, Jesus doesn't agree with you, you're going to hell because the Bible says yada yuck. None of that is true. And if you would actually sit yourself down and get to know a trans person specifically, if you would actually sit down and listen to a person who is trans, then something might start to click, something might start to make more sense in the limited space you have in your cult-minded head. Okay, another thing is microaggression. We've talked a little bit about blatant disrespect, but now I want to talk about microaggression. If you don't know what microaggression is, it mostly comes out in speech. Sometimes it can be it's passive aggressive. That's what it is. people use it toward trans people a lot. Like the very brief but intentional he for a trans woman, or she for a trans man, or like a family member knowing who you are and how you identify and being talked to about it time and time again every day. Let's see, buying a trans man a makeup kit when you just said like mere hours ago that you wanted to be more masculine, and as a result you didn't want makeup anymore. In fact, that you had just sold all your makeup to your trans woman friend whose mom had just bought them a football jersey. It's little things like that. And I'm not saying that trans men never like makeup. Yes, they do. Trans women sometimes do like masculine clothes. Yes, we do sometimes. It all depends on who you are. But microaggressions come in forms such as that. They'll also come, like I said, in speech. If a few people are talking, okay, say you have a group of people having a sit down, having a talk, and one of them says, I'm thinking about, going to San Francisco, and somebody else pipes in and says something like, I don't know any places in San Francisco, but like in San Francisco, California, but like someone will pipe up and say, oh, be sure you don't, if you're real brave, you can visit the so-and-so bar. And say that mentioned bar often has trans people go there. And they're known for that. That's a microaggression because that person said, if you're real brave, you can visit the so-and-so bar. And one of these people may be a fully transitioned trans person and go, what exactly are you implying? Oh, I'm just saying. No. That's microaggression right there. There are also bigger versions of microaggressions, like, well, they're not exactly micro if they're bigger, but like if you correct somebody on your pronouns and they flat out turn around and, okay, I've had this happen to me. I'm not going to tell you where I was or who said it. I'm just going to mention my partner who was in the scenario. Someone was saying something to me. It was a staff at the place I currently was in. And my partner, Leo, said, Mariah prefers feminine pronouns, right? Oh yeah, I know he does. I've known him for years. Then why do you keep saying he? And then this person later said, well, I don't see you trying to present. You're not shaving, you're not putting on feminine clothes. And keep in mind, at this point, I was homeless. I couldn't afford to shave all the time. I couldn't afford new clothes all the time, or to make myself look all pretty for a camera, which I shouldn't have to do for you to respect my pronouns anyway. Things like that, a little above microaggression, more toward blatant disrespect. Microaggressions are disrespectful anyhow. But come on, like, blatant disrespect disguised as a friendly suggestion? That's not cool at all. But, people are just so closed-minded and so ignorant that it really doesn't make sense. But when you go, if you have any trans friends, or if you are trans, and, you see your trans friend being mistreated by someone around, and you're able to step in, please do. Please try and step in if you can, because it's disrespectful, it's degrading, we're done with it. We as the trans community as a whole, we are done being disrespected and degraded and told that we're a waste of space in this society. And warning, in one of my next videos, I just may talk about suicide and the, dysphoria mixed with depression in the trans community. That's not going to be in this video. I don't know how long this video will be, but I think I'm about to wrap it up. But the point is, all of these things that happen on a regular basis to trans people are just horrible. They're terrible. And they shouldn't, these things should not exist. Society has taught us that there are two reactions to seeing a trans person. They're either to be disgusted or extremely entertained. Anyway, I have one more thing, and then I'll wrap up this video. Going back to blatant disrespect, but I'm going to mix it with stereotypes, jokes. Trans people are the ass end of some of the most horrific jokes. Some of the most terrible sex jokes. Some of the most horrendous party jokes. And people will hear you say something that's degrading towards trans people, and they'll laugh and laugh and laugh until their ribs crack, and it's disgusting. I can't think of any of those particular jokes off the top of my head, but those jokes are out there, and they're horrible. They're even in meme culture. When you look at some of these pun pages on Facebook, they have a lot of memes that make puns, very disrespectful puns about trans people. There was one that I flat out left and didn't want any more notifications or suggestions from them, because one of the posts had a guy and a girl lying next to one another in the bed. The girl says, "Honey, I have a confession. I used to be a Christian." The man says, "That doesn't bother me, babe." The lady goes, "Yeah, I much prefer being a Christine." And in the next little comic snippet, you see this man sitting up in the bed, reacting with shock and embarrassment and "Oh, I'm disgusted," type look on his face. And I flat out, I said in the comment, I hope this is not transphobic, because I myself am trans and I like this page, but if this is a transphobic page, I'm gonna have to leave. And I got so many terrible comments. I'm not even gonna repeat most of them. But one I did get was, it's transphobic. You're not imagining things, darling. So I was like, I figured, you know. And there were comments such as, well, you know, a lot of us men, we like, you know, we're not homophobic just because we don't want someone who once had a dick lying next to us. You know, we like to get in the bed with, you know, girls who actually are girls. And I said, you're indicating that trans women are not women. And they said, well, truth hurts, ha ha ha. It's not truth that you're spouting, it's ignorance. You're not thinking about anything except what you've learned and what you think you've known for years and years. And that is part of society letting us, or telling us, that trans people really aren't people, that, you know, we're just men in dresses or women in masculine clothing. It's disgusting, like I said, and it pisses me off, and it pisses off a lot of trans people. But anyway, that's about it for this video. If you like this video, feel free to click the like button. I sound like Markiplier now. Feel free to smash that like button. Well, he doesn't say smash, does he? Anyway, if you like the video, I encourage you to leave a like. And if you have any stories to tell me about either being transgender or a trans friend you might have that allows the story to be told, you can leave a comment down below. And if you want me to read it aloud in my next video or one of my next videos, I may. And if you like me enough, if you like me enough to subscribe to me, sure, please do. Be great. If you don't, that's fine as well. But let me know what you think about this video in the comments. You know, because if you like it enough, I think I did a good job. If I don't get many likes, then, well, I know I didn't do a very good job. But anyway, that's all the time I have for today. I have to get out of this art room because there are other people who use it. But I will be making another video for this series. So if you want to look out for that video, do. And I'm also still looking for a non-binary person, or gender queer, or gender fluid, or gender non-conforming, to come on my channel with me and talk about being genderqueer or gender fluid or gender non-conforming, to educate both me and the small crowd of people who is currently watching my videos. So anyway, until next time, I hope you have a great day, night, or afternoon, whoever or wherever you may happen to be. Until next time, this is Mariah Harper signing out. Mwah. Love you.